How's it going, everybody? I got this weed eater. I had someone ask me how I go about getting them ready for the winter when I'm done using them. And this one we just happened to find at the thrift store. There's actually two of them. This is one of them here. It's the weed eater brand, Feather Lite, 25cc, 16-inch cut. It's from 2011. We picked it up for, I think it was $8.98 at the local thrift shop. And they was wanting to know how we prep them, which, the way we listen to them, everybody's different. But they asked me how I get them ready for the winter. Typically, the way we usually do it is, this one's actually a two-piece. So, it has, if you have the other attachments, you can hook them on. But anyway, typically, the way I always do it is, as long as everything's in sound mechanical shape, we'll usually just drain the tank and drain all the fuel out of the tank and fire it back up and let it run. Get all the fuel out of the system, and then store it for the winter if I got room in the basement. Which we was wanting to do some work on the K5 this weekend, but it's been raining off and on all day, and it's supposed to have a 100% chance of rain tomorrow, so that's kind of out of the question. So we're down in the basement with this to kind of go over how we do it. And this one here is a little different because it needs some work, but generally we just drain the fuel, run them until there's no more fuel in it, store them usually in the basement, and try to keep them out of the weather. I mean, you can keep them out in the shed or whatever, or in the garage if you have a garage, but since we don't have a garage, I'll try to make room in the basement for them. And not technically temperature controlled, but it's a lot better than being outside in the shed in the freezing cold over the winter. I mean, it doesn't necessarily hurt them. I just prefer to have them in the basement, and to where it's not quite as cold, and heating up, cooling down, heating up, cooling down. I mean, I can't honestly say that's really bad for them, but in my opinion, I'd rather have them in the basement. So this one, we don't even know if it runs. So I was saying, we picked up for $8.98. And the only thing I've seen on it so far is definitely needs fuel lines, and it's got the tanks loose, fuel lines are broke off, it's missing the screw up here on the back cover, so it kind of seems like someone's had it apart at one time. And the primer ball isn't busted, but it's super stiff, but they didn't have a kit. When I went to Lowe's, they didn't have a kit that had the primer ball with it. It was just the standard fuel lines. Picked up a couple packs. The last two packs they had, $3.98 plus tax. So it's not bad. You guys seen videos before? They're really not too hard to put in. So we'll get those in it and take it outside and try to fire it up. I got lucky with this one because usually when I find these at the thrift store, they don't have the fuel caps on them. This one did. So the other one, actually, I was actually surprised. And it's pretty complete. It's got the spark plugs in it. Actually, I think it even has air filters in it, spark plugs in it. Has all the bells and whistles, the caps on it, and the busted pieces of line, of course, are in the tank. And so to do this, even if you run into this issue, like say come spring, you go to fire it up, you realize you're leaking fuel everywhere, you have a busted line, it won't start. So instead of just throwing it in the trash, going out and dropping $100 and some, $200 and some on a new weed eater, you can go out, $3.98, new set of lines, throw them in, weed eater's ready to go. Ball is the same way. I think the kit, their peg hook, had the one up there. When I asked the guy, he said the kit that has the balls in it comes with three different size primer balls. Both lines is like $10. So even if you go that route, $10 and a little bit of time putting them in is a lot better than dropping $100 and some to $200 some on a new weed eater. And so I'll get what we need, which is just basic hand tools. We got a line kit. And these, I mean, this is really inexpensive to do. This one I was hoping it had the fitting I got this at our local Dollar Tree. It was $1, and it's got a, oh, I got it upside down. multiple bits in it, but of course none of them, I tried them, none of them would fit this, but it still comes in handy because the bit that I have that does fit it fits right into the end, so that makes it nice. And I'm saying it was only $1. Everything, Dollar Tree has about everything you need to do this, minus the line. And so it's a relatively cheap fix. And let's see. So we got our lines, got our snips, scissors. So we got everything here we need to do it, and let's get down to it. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So the plan is I am going to take the cover off so I can see the plug. So we'll take the plug out and kind of check it out, see if it needs replaced or not. Everything's a little dirty, but it's not actually in terribly bad shape. And the bummer part is, well, it's not really a bummer, but these ones are around here are star bits. The ones for the cover are the regular hex bits. And some of the Dollar Trees even sell these. These they had on sale at it was a 3-pack at Lowe's. When I was there, they had them on sale for $6.88 for a 3-pack. So that was a pretty good deal. All right, got these 2 bolts here. I better make sure you guys can see it. Yeah. Got these 2 bolts, and the tank would come off. You can get real fancy. I guess you could get regular bits like those and a cordless drill. Make everything a little quicker. I have a cordless drill, but I don't think I have a star bit that would fit this that I can remember. But you come across them, try your local Dollar Trees, Family Dollar. I'm not sure about. I don't go to Family Dollar too much. But some of them little corner stores, and you'd be surprised what they have at an okay price. Usually. Okay, we're almost there. Now, $1.99 for a magnetic tray, Harbor Freight. Comes in handy. Come on. Let's see. There we go. 2 screws. Tank's off. I'm gonna have to clean that up some. It's kind of one of those. So I'm saying it looks like someone tried to mess with it once already. The screws were loose. Looks like it's been wiped off. The screw up here is missing. I don't even know if the other 2 are tight. We'll get our. There's a little fitting. Come on out there. Hey. Ooh, that line's like. There we go. There's the fuel your filter, or filter your fuel. Backwards. And pull this stuff out. This stuff was in there. Alright. Trying to do it as quick as I can so I don't hold you up. There we go. This tank is actually super clean. So it looks like someone took care of it, for sure. Must have just ditched it when or not ditched it, just donated it, I guess, which was nice of them to donate. But get some of that stuff off there. cleaned up. I have no idea why they put it's like blood red fingernail polish on in the cap. Okay, so here's the tank. Get our fuel lines out. About all the weed eaters are relatively the same. This kit fits multiple brands of weed eaters. Used them on weed eaters, used them on leaf blowers. Yeah, different, multiple brands, so they're pretty much universal. And let's see, so here's your lines. Two different colors is what I like about them. So one's clear, one's yellow. One's for the fuel, one's for the primer ball, and you'll be able to tell. Get that. There we go. Get this little piece of line off here. Man, that stuff's like super brittle. If you look in, see if I can zoom. I don't know if I can zoom in that far. If I can show you. I think it's going to focus enough. But anyway. Ooh. Now you can see it. Alright, if you can. Let's see here. The small one, which is your blue, well, it's like a bluish clear, is your small one, which is for the primer ball. Oop, missed that little piece. So the small one, the blue, I think is, yeah, let me see. Make sure I'm giving you guys bad information. They almost look the same size. Carb. Yeah, so it should be, yeah, that's the bigger diameter. So this one should be for the fuel pickup. And they are really, really close to being the same size. As you can see in your tank and your old line, let's see, yeah, a bunch of shrinkage on the line. Okay, so yeah, I am right. Okay, so the primer ball, it's always good to double check. So it'd be the bluish clear line goes on the primer ball, which is on top, and the carburetor for the fuel feed is on the bottom, which is the yellow colored line. And I'll zoom back out and I'll show you on the tank. On the tank, when you look at it, you'll see two different diameter holes. It'll be your fuel, that'll be your primer. So when it goes in, it's just right there. You won't even need a full section of line. Man, they are a bear to start. Can be sometimes. Alright, let's see if we can get this big one first and how I always do it. I'm pretty sure I made a video of this once before for somebody. So I always clip them at a slight angle. Just kind of helps get it started. So it's yellow, so that'll be the fuel. And you just kind of give it a little pinch, to narrow it down some to get it in the tank. They come, this one didn't come with, there's a little wire tool that comes with them, and I've never been able to get the hang of that thing. And So I'm honestly not sure exactly how it works. I was told once it's just supposed to go up and grab a hold of it and draw it down, but for the life of me I couldn't get it to work. So I've always just snipped them. Starting. Get in there. Yeah, I think it's going. I got enough light to see what I'm doing. Let's see. I'll try to draw it down. Actually, I don't know if I can reach it yet. It's usually taking your time. It's not this bad. I'm just trying to hurry up. Let's try giving her a twist. There it goes. It's starting to go now. Okay. Yep, there we go. She's starting to go down. Just pull it out some. Just cut it back flat. Alright. Just I always draw it in enough to where I always try to get them to where the filter piece drops back to the back of the tank. And the hose, once you get it going, it goes pretty easy. That might do her. It's going to be close. Close, close, close. Get that whole piece of line off there. Same way, so drill it just fell right apart. They carry these too. I can't remember how much they were. They actually carry a full kit. From what the guy was telling me, that comes with the one that was actually this and it was black line is just one real long piece. For the ones that are the same diameter, they carry the long fuel. It's just one long piece, the filter piece, and one primer ball. But I can't remember how much. There we go. Slips right on. Drop it down in the tank. And where we got it at? It is, yep, right in the back. So we're good. So it takes care of the fuel. The can't even think. The primer, same way. So I'll get that in real quick, then we'll hook the tank up. Alright, the primer line's in. Straight in. I don't even know why I shut the camera off for that. I figured I'd have to wrestle it, but it went straight in like nothing. Now, just want to make sure that they fit good and tight. So no oil when this thing's running and vibrating, that that the fuel doesn't, sometimes it'll splatter around them if you don't have a real tight fit. So, and I always drop mine on the tank. I've gotten a lot of them to where the primer was like up towards just like the bottom of the neck, and which I have no reason or I don't see no reason why they have them that short. I always drop mine down just a little bit past the halfway mark. You know, definitely below the neck, like right in here somewhere, maybe a little lower. That way when I fill it up, I know that it's definitely, I don't know if you can see down in there or not, but you can see the line dropping down past the neck. Because that way I know for a fact that it is in the fuel, and it'll draw it up. And this one actually has air filter in it, which is another thing you want to inspect. These things are cheap. They had these there. It was a pack of different styles. Actually, some of them were shaped like this. They had round ones. It was just like I think it was an 8-piece or something like that variety pack for a couple bucks. And what you go there now, you get Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, maybe a lot of those places, their lawn stuff is on clearance. So the filter's still good. It's not all oil soaked and crappy and dirty and dingy. This one looks like it was actually replaced at one time. It's just now starting to get a little dirty, which these things you can use for the longest time. So we're going to set that aside. Now some of these, this one may not do it, but some of them, if they give you a hard time getting the lines on, there is a couple, like this one here. You got the 2 screws right here. You can drop out and take this cover off to get more access to the back. This one I don't think it's going to be that bad. At least it doesn't look like it. Let's see, so get the tank back on. Just hoping the cap doesn't leak. Now the seal looks good. It was out of caps too. It was in the store bid. I guess if you had a cordless drill in a bit, this is where it would come in handy. Just zap them right in there. So there's one. And 2. Nothing to it. Shouldn't say that yet, right? I'm just curious. It's because it's, yeah, these 2 were loose. I didn't check these 2. The tank was a little loose. That bolt's missing. So I'm going to check these 2 and see if they're loose. Alright, nice and snug. A little bit more. Just don't want to overdo it. There we go. Alright. Nice tight. So we'll do the fuel line first. Pops right on like it should. That one's about a perfect fit. I mean, you could probably trim some of that off, but it looks to be okay. The primer, that one would definitely trim it off because it would be out, way out like that, and it's too easy for it to get snagged onto something. So we'll trim that off. Let's bring it up to where run it into the fuel line, I guess. Let's get it kind of about where you think it needs to be. That should be good. Give her a little snip. This one's going to be a little bit tighter. Let's see if it would help. go. Nice tight fit, so it only takes a few minutes. New set of fuel lines. That one's almost debatable if it's too long. I think it'll be alright. You just don't want it where they're like, hanging out to where they get caught on something. So we'll check the cover. I think this is the one that fitted. Oh, that one's missing. At least they're not fingerlings. Just gonna put the air filter back in it. So the air filter was good. A few lines. It really could use a new primer ball though. That one's missing. We got one on top. Let's see if it was tight. I think there's one in there. Yep. Yeah, it's loose. So the odds are they had the cover off. Yep, one. We'll do that. There we go. Down here beside the tank. Yeah, that one's loose too. Boom, right off. She's got spiders. Well, honestly, this thing, you see under not, this thing's relatively clean. And you can see in there, it's got a little bit of oil residue up around the carb, which is natural. A little bit of dust, but around the exhaust, the muffler, and all that, it's relatively clean. Yes, besides the spiders, so that we don't have to worry about. I don't think I have one down here. Let me see. Nope, I don't have a wrench. If I'd had a wrench down here, we could have popped the plug out. Plug don't look that bad. Stuff her in there for a minute. Everything looks good. Alright, so still good. Oh yeah, I do. Oh boy, she's in there. It's the tightest part of the whole weed eater. Christmas. I don't think they wanted this plug coming out. You get a persuader. Oop. There we go. My goodness. I think that would fit it. Back out a little bit so you can see. Alright, so we got the cover off, plug out. Let's see if we got this plug. This plug was super tight. A little dirty in there. The plug itself isn't too bad. I'll clean that up and throw it back in and see if it'll fire off. And these screws, hopefully these are tight. Hate to think they was in there messing around. Yeah. Yeah, they're good and tight. Alright, nice if we had the primer ball for it, but I don't have one. This would also be the time. I don't have none, but if you have any lithium grease, maybe so I'll pick some up, and this other weed eater I got, I'll do it on it just so I can show you. the cable. Oh, let me get to where you can see it. It's a good idea on a lot of them. The cable is like right here. It's kind of hard to see in the camera. But that cable, if you take off, especially the straight shafts are easy too. Not the straight shafts, but the regular shaft. This one's a two-piece, but you just take the head off, take that nut loose and everything, and that cable should slide straight out. You take that cable out, and because all that cable does, it goes from, it's real stiff, goes from the front of the motor, runs down through the shaft to the head, and it sits in there and spins around. Take them out, clean them up, give them a fresh coat of lithium, or I was told good quality wheel bearing grease will work also. Put it in there, put it all back together. Helps save the life to the cable on the inside of the shaft as it's in there beating around. Helps keep it lubed up. And let's see. We will get the plug cleaned up, get it back together, and see if she fires up. That's the plan anyway. And be right back. Alright, so that pretty much takes care of the engine part as far as prepping it. So, cleaned the plug up with the wire wheel, got it back in, made sure the lines were good. Well, in this case we replaced them, but your plug, make sure you got a good plug in it. You know, drain your tank of fuel, inspect your fuel lines, primer line, your ball, your filter, get the fuel out, fire it up, let it run itself out of gas. And if you got, if you have the time and the tools, it's good to re-lubricate the shaft. And the other part you don't want to miss is, let me get this thing out of the way, which I almost forgot about it. Hopefully this thing runs. Of course, when you got much in it, so it doesn't really matter. But on the bottom, just here, thought bending the tube. Some of them. Depends on how the head comes apart. Where you can see it. Depending on how the head comes apart, these ones just pop out. Simple. And some of them, like the single head, just pops out. Just down a little farther, but down in the head sometimes, especially the ones that have the double string. You'll get, it's real easy to get debris down inside of them, as you're cutting, like what you see here. You can end up down in here. You can kind of see some of it. It happens a lot with the ones that are dual feed. This one's single feed, so it's usually not that bad on them. And this one's actually cleaner than what I figured it would be, since it's 9 years old, almost 10 years old. But if they're dirty, I've always just used regular old screwdriver, just get in there, break it all up, blow it all out. The other thing is, especially where the blade is, you want to clean them. This is best to do outside, but get all the old grass out, knock it all out, get it out. Especially like where the blade is. Some of these, this one's got so much on it, I don't know, but some of these you can replace if you need to. I have a couple of screws. You can see where it's Definitely not good for them. Anyway, some of them you can take, and it'll have a couple. Here we go. It's right here on top. Yeah, it's all rusty from all that stuff sitting there. So this one's like this one here takes a star bit. I've never bought one of these, so I don't know if it's like an online thing or Lowe's, Home Depot. I don't know if those guys carry these, but I've never replaced them. Never had one technically bad enough to have to replace, but they've always had screws in them. Some of them that have 2 screws going from the side, some from the top. Just, you know, varies by model. This one has a star bit. It's right side. Comes right out. It shouldn't be hard to get out considering it screws into basically plastic. So it shouldn't be tough to get out. The majority of the time you don't even have to take them out. You can just clean them up. This one is taking it out just to show you how easy it is to get them out if you need to. So you need to take them out to replace them because they're all rusty and, you know, trash. And they come right out. So the best thing to do is to clean them up. Because that grass is hard on these parts. So you definitely want to get it all cleaned up. This one I'll wire wheel it, and you can kind of feel them to see if they have an edge on them. If they don't have an edge, you can just hit it with a file, a grinder, whatever, you know, a cutting wheel, something just to knock the, you know, the garbage off of it, to give it a little bit of an edge. Doesn't take much to, you know, bust that string when it's spinning so fast. That's basically it. You know, once you get all this cleaned out, get this cleaned out, make sure the head's cleaned out, check your blade. As long as the blade and everything's good, you're pretty much good to go. I'll get all this cleaned out, clean this blade up, throw it back together, and we'll take it outside and see if it'll fire up. I should be right back. Yeah, you could get real fancy. Give your little blade. Clean this one up a little bit with the wire well, just because it's kind of dingy. It's got an okay edge on it, so I ain't going to worry about that for now. You can get real fancy, give it a little bit of a black spray paint. It'll keep it from rusting over the winter. Me, I'm just going to give it a little bit of with some oil. Since this is going to be doing a little bit of setting for a few months, I'm sure, before it's given away, because not too many people are, you know, it's the middle of November, so who's worried about lawn care right now? Not too many people are worried about it, whether they're getting it for free or not. Not too many people are worried about weed eaters. Ooh, get up there. Get her back together. I'll show you an easier way to do this. This one was just easy because it was a 2-piece shaft. If you have a straight shaft, it's easier to just take the black plastic piece off the guard. That one don't fit it down. This one does. You can take this screw in, the whole cover off. If you have a straight shaft, so you ain't got to worry about flipping it upside down if you're concerned about that. Which, as long as you don't have fuel in it, you're perfectly fine. So, let's say it's just a regular, not straight shaft, just one shaft, solid shaft weed eater. You can take, make sure I got this up here. Take and your wing nut right here. Just undo the wing nut. Just got to be careful you don't want to force it. Because they're just basically metal threads on the inside, and the rest of it's just hard plastic. You go use some pliers or something, want to try to force it real hard. You can break these ears off. Oop, and drop it. There we we go. So the whole shaft will come off. You set it aside. And you have your guard. You know, you can do all the cleaning you want to it. This one definitely ain't perfect. You can see there's still a little bit in it, but we're kind of doing a rush job, so we're just doing the basics. But that's how you would do it. And there's the one. I'll show you what I'm talking about. No, this one doesn't even have the metal in it. So this one, they're just plastic. So this one doesn't even have, some of them have a metal insert in them with the plastic around it for a wing nut to take them on and off. This one actually doesn't even have that. This is just plastic 100% that's threaded, so you got to be careful. You don't want to, you know, get your pliers on there if it's not coming loose. You know, you don't want to bust the ear off. Best guess is if you can get it, if you have to use a pair of pliers, try to get it to where as low as you possibly can on that wing nut, you know, so you can get a good grip on it, because you don't want to snap those off. So after you get it to come loose, just clean up the stud and everything, and it'll penetrate more or something, and it'll come back around. It's all still. Just clean the threads up on it. Just clean up the threads. So all it is a square-headed bolt that sits in there. Just clean the threads up, put it back together. Good to go. Alright, so I'll throw all this back together and we'll see if she'll start. Alright, finally made it outside. It's all back together. Get some fuel in it and see if she'll start. But it is dark and it is cold. I think I got just enough gas to try this. Oh. Oh yeah. That should be enough. Man, it is cold. Still have my doubts about that primer ball. Yep, it just split. Alright, well, the ball just split. Kind of done that while we was downstairs. See if she at least runs. Give her a little taste of juice. Too much is always good, right? Alright, see if she'll fire off at least. There we go. Full choke. Uh-oh. Let's try choking a little bit. Okay. So, I know it runs. Busted the primer ball trying to prime it, and but it runs. So I'm sure run the head spun for the string. Back that light off a little bit there. Now, damn, it's cold. The ball just split on me. Right there. It says I went to prime it. So we'll definitely have to get a ball, which is what I was afraid of. As I was saying before. It's awful stiff, but it runs. That's a plus. So that's the easy part. Just got the 2 Phillips screws right there. Comes off, throw the new one in, put the ring back on. No big deal. Good thing is it works. So they must have just got rid of it because of the fuel lines. But as I was saying, only paid $8.98 for it. So we paid $8.98 at the store. Cost $4. It was like $3.98. So I'm gonna say $4 for the new fuel lines. Cleaned the plug up. Had the fuel filter in it that was like, or the air filter in it that was like new. So no biggie. It's you know, I look around enough, I might have one of them laying around here that'll fit it. And as far as the winter prep, this one we don't have to worry about, but let's just say that it's a normal running weed eater. The cap off. You would just take, that's how we do it anyway. You just take it, if I can do it without spilling it everywhere. Usually I have a funnel so I don't spill it, but you can hear it flowing back in there. We just drain the tank and spill a little bit. That's okay. You just drain the tank, and you know, put your cap back on, fire it up, let it run all the fuel out of the system. You're good to go for the winter. Lawnmowers, we do the same way. We drain the tank, fire them up, let them run. They run out of gas, then we put them up for the winter. Same deal. And it pretty much sums it up for this one. But I got one more to go so far. It's another feather light like this one. And I'm pretty sure it's got the same issue as far as the fuel lines. I don't know about the ball. I didn't really get a chance to mess with it. But that'll do it. We get this one, get that ball replaced on it, and this weed eater make it be perfect for somebody. Sure, it'll probably be this spring before I find somebody to take it, but somebody will take it. As I was saying, it's a 25cc 16-inch from I see that on somewhere. It says 2011 somewhere. It's on there somewhere. But so it's only 9 years old. It seems to run good. And that'll sum it up, guys. Thanks for watching. And the request I got for winterizing them, I hope that helps you out a little bit. And I'm out. It's cold out here. Thanks for watching.